All right, guys, I don't really be wishing misfortune upon other people because I'm not a hater. I wouldn't give you 4 stars. All right. But I've been warning you for years that the day was going to come where Alabama was going to go out here and do the sort of thing that regular teams do. And to be honest, they really don't do things that regular teams do. But I was like, it's going to happen. And what's going to happen is something that an entire generation of fans has not seen, which is what Alabama is truly all about. What do I mean by that? Well, Alabama has finished in the top 10 literally 16 years in a row. 16 years in a row. And so what that means is no one has ever really seen how truly high the standard is at Alabama because the standard has always been met, right? And so I would tell people, like, look, you need to understand, man, Alabama come out here and have a 9-win season, and I'm just telling you, this ain't going to go over very well. And people would make the argument to me, well, no. I'm sure Nick Saban has earned enough goodwill. And I'm like, dog, y'all don't get what this job is and how stressful and demanding this job is, okay? And I just want to point this out. When Bear Bryant quit the job, and he died 1 month later. But when he quit the job, he said that he was not doing the job well enough and that Alabama deserved a better coach than he was able to be at that time. Which is to say, even Bear Bryant, who did not think he was going to die a month later, Bear Bryant looked up and realized, man, this ain't going to cut it for these people. It's not. And in the last 70 years, 2 coaches have made it work, truly, at Alabama. Those 2 coaches happen to be, quite possibly, the 2 best coaches in the history of college football. No one else has survived the job. Some have escaped it. Ray Perkins escaped it. Dennis Franchione escaped it. But people don't survive that job unless you're going to win 6 or 7 national championships. It's just how it works. So Kalen DeBoer, who, as I've said before, has the name of a villain for Lethal Weapon 2, he really got himself up there, ingratiated himself to the Alabama faithful with the big win against Georgia, right? He did that. And then they went out there the next week and they lost to Vanderbilt. Hold on. To be fair, it was at Vanderbilt. However, Sean, I don't know if you had seen this, but I believe that Nick Saban, I forget who he was talking to. I think he may have been talking to McAfee, but he said that every place is hard to play at the SEC, in the SEC, except for Vanderbilt, because you have more fans there than Vanderbilt does. He said, no shade. That's just what it is. And it is largely true, because I know this used to happen at Duke. Alabama did this one year when they played against Duke. They'll buy season tickets to get their seats at the stadium and then sell the tickets off for the rest of the year. And then you show up and it's like an Alabama home game.
It's almost how like Rams games work right now at SoFi.
Yes.
It's just the road team is a home game for them.
Yes. And that happens at Vanderbilt all the time. I was not watching that game because I figured at every turn that somehow Alabama was going to turn that thing around. They did not. Sean, they took that goalpost all the way to the river. I didn't know Nashville had a river. I don't know if it's one of them rivers that they made for themselves, like in San Antonio, but they made themselves, or they took that thing all the way down to the river. They pulled the thing out of the river. It is my friendly reminder. And look, I'm not complaining about this. I just want to be clear because I don't have any desire to do that. But I'm just telling you right now, man, ain't no way in the world a bunch of black people going to steal something from the stadium, walk down the street, and not once is somebody going to say, stop, put your hands up, drop the goalpost. You're just not going to tell me that that's not going. Maybe that's why that tradition never caught on for us, right? Like trespassing means something different when it's us.
Just the idea of stealing something that big,
Yes. They was on it. They was on it. I loved watching those clips just because there is nothing quite like being in like a college town, and for purposes of this discussion, Nashville will count. But being in one of these big college areas after a game like this, there's nothing quite like it, whether it be a championship game, big rivalry game, or whatever, where everybody, whatever the spot is that you go to, everybody goes to the spot and you still in that age range. Because I'm here to tell you, people, if you went home by yourself at Vanderbilt's campus on Saturday night and you didn't want to go home by yourself, you need to transfer. It's just not meant to happen for you at that particular institution. Or you need to stop playing them video games and start making some friends, right? Like every little capital investment that you had made up until that point, everybody was gonna be able to cash in that night. So shout out to you for all your happiness in Vanderbilt. On the other hand, I want you to hear this clip from the Matt Barry Show. It's an ESPN podcast, and he asked Paul Finebaum what the stakes are or what the vibe is for Alabama folks after that.
Well, we saw a new head coach at Alabama named Kalen DeBoer, who, after all the praise he got here last week, showed that the Nick Saban era is over. Because Nick Saban would have never lost that game, never did lose that game. And Matt, people talk about the La Monroe game in 07. That was, he inherited a 6-7 team that was 500. This is the worst loss I have ever seen by a quality Alabama team. I've seen bad Alabama teams lose to MCU and to Monroe, but I've never seen a great Alabama team lose like this. And it is sending shockwaves through the Alabama ecosystem right now, because for all the good that we felt a week ago, the questions that were lingering deep in the crevices of Alabama fans' minds are starting to pop up. And people are reminding us that even at Washington, you saw these very bizarre calls, and you know what I'm talking about. I think there was a game against Arizona State, was it last year? There were other games that Washington barely escaped. So yeah, there's a shock to the system, and what makes it even worse is Alabama has to play again this week against a fading South Carolina team, but it's the week after against Tennessee. And suddenly the numbers game is alive. But what you said a minute ago is true. I mean, I was in College Station yesterday, and I was being told that's the most important game of the day. And I don't even remember what I saw out there because so much has happened since then.
Sean, he's talking about they look back when he was at Washington and they had to escape some games there too. Do you know what Kalen DeBoer's record was at Washington?
It wasn't bad, right? It was pretty good.
25-3. 25-3. And they're like, oh, we had some close games. That's it? Close games? All you're talking about is some close games?
And I bet those 3 losses were to powerhouse schools.
One of them was in the national championship game last year. Now, the other 2, I have to say, they were against UCLA and Arizona State, so perhaps not the greatest. But he's still like, everybody has to escape some games except for Nick Saban. The argument that Finebaum had there against Buddy was, he's no Nick Saban. Nobody has done what Nick Saban did for the 17 years that he was at Alabama. I am telling y'all. And look, you say what you want about Paul. He's the reasonable one. Like he's one of the level-headed people that you're going to encounter when this goes down. Yeah, bruh. He said he had to escape some games at Washington too. Like he's never watched college football before. I can't believe anybody want to take this job. I can't, I don't know if they make brick-proof glass, but the homie might want to get himself some of that. Sean, they got South Carolina. Then they got to go play Tennessee. Ooh, then they get Missouri at home, and Missouri might be good. Then they go to LSU. Hold up, then they go to LSU. They got a game against Mercer. That's homecoming. Then they got to go to Oklahoma. It is reasonable, what I have laid out for you, that a good team could end this season 10-2, God forbid, 9-3. And it will be the worst for that man.
And you have said it countless number of times when talking about Alabama. 9-3 is a death sentence for that team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You better not do it twice. I know that. You better not do it twice. I just need everybody to know I told you how this goes. I told you what could wind up happening, how this could build up. They getting on DeBoer because he wearing a T-shirt on the sideline. And I would like to say I agree with you on that one. The NFL is back, which means you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite teams only on PrizePicks. You can make a PrizePicks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play 5. You don't even need to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app. So make sure you go to prizepicks.com/Bomani and use code Bomani for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Bomani. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.